Hey, I'm up here in the Cuyamaca Mountains, and legend has it that in these mountains, eons ago, some remote time in human history, humans lived alongside giants. Now, they say these giants, they were actual physical creatures. They were hideous, they were misshapen, they lived up in the mountains, and they were cruel. Sometimes they would kidnap human women, young ladies, and take them off, force them to work for them, force them to make baskets for them and to fetch water for them. And one of those giants, legends tell of this giant. They say he lived right here in this spot, Green Valley. There's actually a Green Valley State Park just down the road from here. If you look just down the road, we're here in the Cuyamaca Mountains. We're just south of Julian, north of San Diego, southeast of Temecula. And in these mountains, that's where legends say that these hideous giants used to live. Now, there's an academic paper written by Laura L. Klein. The paper, I have to read the title. It's called The Cuyamaca Reflections on a Lost Culture. So Cuyamaca, that was the culture, the native people from here in the Cuyamacas, related to the nearby Kumeyaay. And she records some of these Cuyamaca legends in her paper. One of those legends tells of this giant who lived right here in Green Valley, and his name was Hamam Kushwash. And that name, it translates as whip to kill people. And he was extremely cruel, brutal. He would kidnap the most beautiful young ladies from the local villages and take them off to the mountains to live with him and to work for him. And so Hamam Kushwash, he thought that he owned the coldest spring at the top of the mountains. So he would force these young ladies to go up to the mountain and fetch water. It's known as cold spring in English. In the Cuyamaca language, it is Ahawiaha, which is cold spring, or water, coldest water, I think is the translation that Laura Klein gives. And if the women didn't bring the water back still cold, if they took too long, he would torture them. He was cruel to them, and he thought that he owned all of this. So what are we to make of all these giant stories? Well, you could look at them as your kind of basic cautionary tale, warning young ladies not to stray too far from the village, don't go wandering off in the mountains. You could look at them as a metaphor for colonization, for what happened when the colonizers came here and decided that they got to own all of this, and often treated the native people extremely cruelly. So these stories, maybe they're sort of a metaphor for all of that, for that present reality of the Cuyamaca people. Or they could be a more ancient folk memory. And there's a possibility these stories, they might actually preserve some old folk memory of a time millennia ago, some remote era when humans coexisted alongside other hominids. And we know that happened in some places. In Europe, Homo sapiens humans lived alongside Neanderthals. And we were probably afraid of them, probably thought of them as monsters and ogres, and maybe some of those European stories of monsters and giants and ogres might be this memory of a time when they were real, when these human-like creatures, but not exactly human creatures, lived alongside us. And maybe that happened up here in the Cuyamacas. Maybe that happened at some remote time. There was maybe even a hominid that Western science doesn't know about, but that legend has remembered. Maybe that's the story behind these cruel giants that lived up here and would take women from the human villages. I don't know. And if that is true, though, there's a remote possibility that maybe, just maybe, some of those creatures, those hominids, those giants, some of them might still be up here in these mountains. So I don't know, but I'm not going to get caught up here after dark. Let's get out of here.